Okay, the difference between your AI results and all of the experts out there is actually in the prompting. Well, we are going to turn you into an expert AI prompter in 30 minutes or less, but better yet, you won't even have to do the prompting because we're going to give you an AI assistant to do it for you so you can have expert level promptings without ever having to write something yourself. All of that on today's show, Marketing Against the Grain. So let's dive straight into like one prompt that I think maybe our listeners have seen. I think it's one of the better templates, and then we're gonna give away some pretty interesting things for our subscribers to YouTube exclusively, or for our subscribers to the RSS exclusively. And so this is a well-shared prompt that I'm showing for those not watching along on YouTube. And this is actually from Greg Brockman, the co-founder of OpenAI, and he was talking about the fact that he still sees a lot of people cannot prompt, and that is why their results are much worse than other people for using these LLM models. And what he did is he provided this like really easy to understand prompt and then broke it apart into its core parts. And I thought we could go through this. And then I want to show a quick hack that people can use to create their own prompt engineer from this template that not many people do. And so what this has is a couple of core components, right? If you want to construct a really good prompt, and this says for the O1 models, but I think this is just good prompt hygiene in general, is that you want to have a clear goal. And so in this case, he has a clear goal around hikes in San Francisco. I will say, anytime I see hikes and Americans say hikes, I've really in Europe this means like going up mountains. I think in America this means going to the shops on a flat surface. It's not the same thing.
I would say a hike in America is walking on a trail of some type.
Yeah, a trail, but it's not mountain climbing.
In some cases it is, in some cases it isn't, right? It's the very wide definition of hiking in America.
And so he has a goal, clear goal. You state your goal. You really want to understand what your outcome is. He has a return format. Now, I'm going to get into a much more detailed version of this. And then I'm going to get into a pretty awesome giveaway for a 5-page prompt that our listeners can just go take and start doing some cool stuff with. So this is a return format. Like what is the format I want this to be returned in? Warnings. So what is the warnings that he provided here was like things like be careful to make sure the name of the trail is correct, that it actually exists. I think these are things you want to point it towards, and that the time is correct. And so examples would be make sure if you are doing any kind of a prompt in to research something, you would say, hey, make sure the name of that company is real, make sure they have actual employees because you don't want it to hallucinate, or whatever kind of warnings you want to create for the model.
Well, Kieran, I think this is a simple example of like AI might find something in one source that may not be that accurate, right? And what it's basically telling the AI is like, hey, kind of check multiple times to make sure this thing's real, right?
Right, exactly. And I think one of the things I do internally when I'm prompting, I use this prompt all the time. But again, I'm going to give you an easy way to use this, so you never really have to remember the format. And so even though I'm giving you the format here, I'm going to show you a way where you never have to actually remember it. But one of the things I do when I use this internally for internal projects, and I give it a ton of context, which we're going to go into now, I'll always say like cite the documentation and the exact place where you got the information to make this statement. So when I get the reply from the LLM, it always cites all of its sources and reasons why it made the assumptions or kind of give the output that it did. So I can see like exactly it's getting it from documents that actually exist. And then the most important thing that people still don't get, I don't think, like people think context is like a sentence. Like, so even here, the context that Greg gave in the example, it's like a couple of paragraphs, right? What we did on the landing page is, if you recall in our landing page episode, and if you haven't watched that, you should go watch that. The context we provided to create the world's best landing page was actually a 30-page style guide, right? And so this is the beauty of these LLMs, is that they have huge amounts of ability to for you to add context. You can add a ton of things into the context window and really tailor those results. And so kicking off this episode, if you are stuck with prompting in general, this is a great first place to start, right? Do I have a goal? Have I stated my return format? Have I given it some sort of warnings to say, like, these are the things I really need you to do? And have I given it good amounts of context? And I think that's a good starting point for this episode that will make people much, much better at prompting if you haven't been doing this to date. So we don't remember all of that because we're lazy. So one of the things I do, and I'm going to share my screen here, is I basically just I'm constantly taking prompts and then turning them into templates and then creating custom GPTs to replicate that template for me. So what do I mean by this? And so if you're again following along on YouTube, what you'll see is I've gone into I'll actually go into the whole process. So I go to my GPTs, I go in here, and we're going to get into a couple of more advanced prompts in this episode. I really love this one that I've created, which is taking a deep research prompt and creating a YouTube video. But for now, we're going to get into this one. So this is a prompt
You're going to
engineer.
get asked for all of these, just so we know.
Yeah, because I love our viewers, I am going to give away the deep research to YouTube video, which I think is actually incredible. I'm going to show you something even better, deep research marketing, taking a marketing tactic and being able to templatize it into something where you can have an AI replicate that marketing tactic for you. I am not yet going to give away this prompt, but I'm going to show you the results. And what we will do in the future, if you're a listener, I think we're going to figure out how to give our listeners some exclusive stuff at some point. But
you want to hit subscribe, because we're going to try to do some subscriber exclusives.
But this YouTube one is dope. I was like, maybe I should keep this one for myself because it's got a style guide for a YouTube video that is actually insane. All right, so So what I've done here is I'll go into this prompt engineer 01. So this is my prompt engineer for creating 01 prompts. I can just go in here. I'll show you what it looks like. And so it's pretty simplistic, right? Like and so basically what it does is it provides a little bit of context for what I want, and then it tells it to follow the exact template. And so anytime I need a prompt, what I find really easy is I can come in here and I can say, okay, I'm looking to create an incredible Twitter thread on the latest Google. You don't have to worry about spelling, by the way. Announcements, which is great for me because I don't have Grammarly in here. Let's go announcements. Create me a prompt to research those announcements that marketers would love and create an actionable thread on how they can use the AI to be way more productive, whatever. Obviously, you would have an actual real conversation here, go back and forth, and then you say, cool, that's a cool conversation. Create me a prompt for this. So,
and you're not even asking it to write a prompt, right? Because it has all the instructions.
What is it going to disrupt? Give me something that's going to disrupt. It's like, I can't think of anything software. Yeah, it's going to disrupt the sales industry. Okay. I'm going to provide both internal and external data to analyze as part of the memo.
All right, so that's 2 sentences. Very basic, very straightforward. And it's taking the template that you just showed everybody, with the goal, the format, the warnings, and it is giving.
So it's basically making sure
that I add these things. Making sure you follow that template every single time.
The outcome is a strategic memo that pitches how we need to reformat our sales team. The return format should be a 2-page memo detailing the core changes. You should only make it applicable to software sales. Just use your own context for that. Obviously, you would actually you would have to provide a ton of context. And it should actually give you the prompt.
It's doing exactly what you want it to do, man.
Tone is formal. Maybe I always provide it a lot more information. I give it a ton of information up front. Since you mentioned you're providing data, do you want to model analyze it? Contextual grounding. Yes, assume AI has access to the data. All right, so it's going to do it now. And so it's like it is a prompt engineer. It will make sure that you give it all of the things it needs, which I think is a good actual checkpoint for people. I use this all the time. I use this to create all of my prompts for O1 models, but I will provide it with a lot of information up front, and then it will craft a pretty good prompt. And what's actually pretty interesting? Can you make this prompt a lot more detailed? I want it to be very advanced. So you can actually play around and it will improve upon that. Now, the other thing is, one of the things I would get into the habit, to be honest with you, in doing is, I believe this about all AI is, so it's gone way more detailed now. I would create a first version yourself to get used to prompting. I don't think you want to rely solely on AIs, but if you are like a novice at prompting, doing what I just showed you would take you up to like above good pretty rapidly. Like you actually your results are just way better. And then if you ask it to see how much more advanced it is, if you actually play around with it and actually ask it to continue to edit it, and then I'll show you one of the like wild things. Okay, what we've done so far is we've taken just a single template. We've created a custom GPT to be your prompt engineer to replicate that template whenever you want. But the interesting thing is if you go back and forth between models, and so you did a whole video on 2.5 Gemini, and so I've realized that actually I was doing this morning in prep for the show. If you take one, if you can go between the models and say, here for an O1 model, how can I improve this? So
And even if
I
you don't say a
could,
one, you can just say an advanced reasoning
yeah,
model if you want to
yeah,
be
that's it,
like
yeah,
kind of inclusive for any of the reasoning
and,
models, which is a good tip, I think.
and then you can put in your prompt, and then it will give you a much more detailed version of that. Now, what I would do is I would go through the prompt and I would say, cool, I like these parts. I don't like these parts. I would want these kind of improvements. But if you flip flop back and forth in the models, they can edit on each other's work. So that's our first kind of just standard O1 prompt. It's going to come back. It's this very clear outline structure. You can enhance.
Wow, way more detailed.
Yeah,
It's given you 2.5 Pro is really good.
it's really good. So I'm going to get into all of the all of the other prompts that I'm going to show now for deep research are actually done this way. It's a combination of two models. So let's just quickly show the same sort of format, that kind of template that Greg created, but we'll do it for deep research. Okay, so there's a couple of things. Again, if you're following along on YouTube, this is going to be really easy, but if you want to really maximize your results on deep research, one of the things is context really matters in deep research. And so an example would be for HubSpot. Whenever I am doing something for HubSpot, I give it full details on my role, the company size, the industry that we're in. I give it information about who our customers are. I give it information about our tech stack if that's applicable to what I'm doing. I give it a lot of context about what are the key goals and challenges. And so what I found is if you set the context about who you are, the company you're in, the all of the things that matter to the research you're about to do, the results are way better. And this, so the blurb here is, this is obviously like very simplistic. It would be more detailed than this, but I'm a content manager in a 200-person SaaS company. We use HubSpot and Jasper all day. We're evaluating new tools to scale our content and grow our audience faster. So you set context, you give a clear assignment. You want to clearly state what research you want done and what kind of answer would be most useful. You want to go through what your objectives and key metrics are, and I'll go through this because we're going to give this one we can just give away. It's out there already. I give it away already. Scope and priorities. You want to set your scope and priorities. So after we set the objectives and key metrics, we're then like, okay, well, this is the scope of the research. This is what I'm trying to focus on. And then the deliverable format. And what I want to spend the rest of this episode on riffing on is this part, because the deliverable format is like pretty interesting. So you can create an internal report, you can create a template, you can create, what I'm going to show you is go from like the research into a YouTube episode. And so the 5 core components of a deep research prompt is like set the context, make sure you have clarity on the assignment and it's really clear to the AI what you're trying to do, set the objectives and key metrics, set the scope and priorities, and then set the deliverable format.
What I want to really help people understand is that last step, the deliverable format, is so important, because I think what most people I talk to do is like they do deep research and just like, hey, I want a bunch of information on this thing, and they get it, and then they go and then they do something with it, and they often just put it in an LLM with a different prompt, and you're way better off to just tell the deep research, it's like, hey, I need this formatted to go with this prompt that I'm planning to use in this LLM, and it will package everything up so that you'll actually get a far better result from your prompt, which is, I think, what you're going to show.
Yeah.
But that's why that's so important.
Yeah. So what we have here is another GPT trained to reproduce that prompt, right? And so this is, again, a quite simplistic way. So I'm going to basically go, I want to create a report on what AI SDR tools can improve my sales outreach open rates. It's probably going to do the same thing. Okay, so we've given it a little bit of information. Obviously, you would give it a lot more. Again, you're going to get the guide here. So all you need to do is create your own custom GPT, give it the prompt template that we're going to give you. And then anytime you want a deep research prompt to create a detailed report on anything, really, you could do that. So we've given it some context. We've said what industry we're in, who we're targeting. These are like pretty basic here. So we've given it some of this. And so it should actually create a pretty detailed deep research prompt here to create your entire
one of the things I love,
AI
I love all the
tool.
emojis. The emojis.
Yeah, I know,
make
it's
me
like
happy.
really big.
I like that
it's
it
really
add,
big on
I
emojis.
don't know why. It's just like, I know it doesn't do anything, but man, I like the emojis.
Brings a bit of color and life to it.
It does. It makes it feel like less just like staring at black and white all day.
So it's going to craft you the whole.
Wow.
Again,
this
like
is a very, very
the
deep,
size
deep,
of the
deep
prompt,
research prompt.
Right? And so you can go from beginner level deep research prompter to like pretty expert level pretty quickly by creating these custom GPTs that are trained on a prompt that really works. And so you can just basically copy and paste this and kick off your report, and it will bring you back a pretty detailed report on AI tools that can really help you increase your cold email open rates by 10%. We've given it some scope and priorities. It has to be a HubSpot integration. There's a pretty cool thing here, right? It includes case studies or performance benchmarks where available. It will do a lot of cool stuff. Honestly, the level of report you can get in most companies, you can probably just like use this and send it internally, and no one would know it was not from you. So that's basically what this is showing you. But and we'll kick off this to run in the background so we can show this because it won't take that long to run, I don't think, on OpenAI. Once we show you something else, but there's a concept. The concept here is going from research to output, right? That you're doing detailed research on something, and it's creating something for you. So let me just.
So what he's doing is he's taking that advanced prompt that was very dope, as we just saw, and he's just putting it in to regular 4.0 deep research, basic model, basic deep research turned on, and it's always gonna deep research now. Just so everybody knows, it's always gonna ask clarifying questions. Is going to ask clarifying questions. I think it's doing that because they don't want you to keep running deep research when you didn't get a couple of the things you needed the first time. So I think they're trying to reduce the number of runs that you're doing, but it's always going to ask you a handful of quick clarifying questions. He's answered those, and now bam, it's going to run the deep research. Goes.
All right, let's get into a pretty cool prompt here. So we have this one running. So this one is like, okay, well, I want to create a deep research project. Anytime you want to just create a report on anything, right? It's like having a McKinsey-based consultant. You can just say, okay, I want to report it on whatever it may be. You can go into this GPT assistant. You can ask for the report. It will ask you some clarifying questions, and boom, away it goes. And the next one I want to show is this YouTube one. And so,
I haven't seen this one yet, by the way.
No, you haven't seen this one yet. So there's an important concept that I'll go and get it here. All right, so that was a report, but I suspect from marketers, like we're like, okay, well, what are marketing type things we can do? And so this one here, I'm going to actually start with I'll actually go through the different phases. So it does the same sort of thing, right? It sets context. And so again, it's saying you're a research analysis, a narrative strategist, an audience engagement specialist, and a creative video scriptwriter. So you're expert at a lot. You're expert at a lot of things.
You're like 5 different people in this case.
You're right. Your mission is to perform a deep, multifaceted research on a topic provided and then transform that research into a world-class YouTube video outline. And it's designed for viewer engagement, retention, shareability, and impact. I wouldn't actually put retention in there if I'm being honest.
Kieran doesn't care about retention.
No, I care, but
I'm
that's in
joking. I'm joking.
viewer engagement. And so then it goes, and then it says, okay, well, like the audio, you'll provide a topic, you'll provide an audience, a viewer will provide a video length, and then once it's done that, it will go and run a research. It will go research that topic in details. It will do the research scope. It will look at the core narrative. It will define key takeaways. It will pinpoint really engaging elements. So this is like really cool, right? It goes and looks to see, okay, well, what are surprising statistics? What are counterintuitive findings? What are relatable analogies? What are ethical dilemmas? Like, look for quotes. It's got some like really cool things. It's trying to find all of the things in this topic that would actually make it a good YouTube video. And then it says, okay, I have those things. Now I'm going to convert it into this outline. And so this outline is a very detailed outline of
How'd
a
you
YouTube
get this
video.
outline, Kieran?
This was done using the thing I usually do, which is taking videos that have worked really well, taking the transcripts, adding them into context, and then working with AI to distill it into a style. So this is like a YouTube kind of style outline.
Did
And
you do
it
that in
goes through.
ChatGPT or did you do that in Notebook LM?
I did it in Gemini and ChatGPT. I've been switching between both models,
I have been
just
too.
iterating.
It
Yeah,
works way
it's
better
super cool actually.
between 2 or 3 models. This is why you kind of need, if you're just a one model,
Multiple
like a
seats.
one frontier model shop, you kind of need more than one.
Yeah, and I haven't been using Claude as much, which I feel bad about, but I just have.
You were
not been
the
using it
number
much. I
one
know, I was the
Claude
Claude
super
person.
fan of the world.
I don't know what's happened to me. I just
The pace of innovation there is a little slow right now.
yeah. I think Google have come out with some pretty incredible
Google's
things.
killing it.
ChatGPT continues to come out with good, cool things.
Google has come up with so much stuff recently that nobody knows about. We're just going to do a series of shows coming up soon
Yeah.
with some of the cool stuff. Like that freaking AI in Google Sheets is incredible now.
Yeah, we'd have to do like one show per some of the cool releases.
Yeah,
The
we're going
agentic
to do an
workspace.
overview, and then we're going to, a couple of the big ones, we'll do just a quick run through and kind of marketing use case for.
So it's broken into, I'll just go through the core headlines. It breaks it into a hook. It breaks it into the intro, and it says you have to set up the premise and the promise. Clearly state the video central topic in the question. Goes through like how you create engagement right up front. It sets the stage. Context is key. Unpacks the research, the so what, impact and implications, nuance and critical perspective. So it goes through a whole litany of things, right? And then it has all this kind of phase through discoverability and polish elements. It basically goes through compelling title suggestions, the video description, keywords and tags, even goes into the sound and production and source, and then it goes into sources. So that one's running. Okay, so we can do this, right? Because we actually want to create a video for YouTube around Google. So I want a prompt to create a YouTube video for Google's latest AI launches from next 25. And it will ask me those 3 questions. So I'm in my custom GPT. That custom GPT, again, is trained to reproduce prompts in the style that I showed you. We go in and we say, this is a real video that Kipp and I want to do. So it's go, okay, cool. I've got the topic, which is Google's latest AI launches. Who's the target audience? So we're going to say marketers, startup founders. Ideal video length, we're going to say 30 minutes. All right, we're going to put that in. And now it should give me, well, okay, we might have cut this out because it's doing the same thing. It's searching the web. No, fine. Okay, so now it's going to give me the detailed prompt. And we're actually going to run this one in Gemini Deep Research. Now it's if you see the time, I mentioned 30 minutes. So you can see it's given the exact time. It gives the hook. It gives the exact time length of the intro. It gives the exact time to set the context. This is actually really good. Start using this. It gives the exact time to do all of the core insights. It does a really cool thing where you end with, you have 5 minutes at the end where you talk about the impact and implications, like why does this matter? You provide the nuance and critical perspective in that minute 25 to 27. And then you have a call to action, an engagement loop, and then you end screen. So it's given like an exact breakdown mapped to the 30 minutes, which again is pretty incredible. And so let's run this prompt in Google, and Kipp and I can probably just use this and do a show and see if it's good, right? Like we can actually use this for our video show. So we're gonna give this to Google, and we're gonna be off, and then we can kind of. Okay, so this is let me just quickly see something, because I actually did run this, and so I might be able to do before and after here. All right, so this is a little bit of I always wanted, like if I was doing a cooking program, this is kind of how it would feel, right? This is the one I did earlier, and so how do you why does it? Oh, it's changed the UI. Can you not click in? All right, so this is what it's produced. This is the Google Next 25 using the deep research prompt, and it's provided a entire. It's kind of broken it out. 50. So it's actually it started with a pretty good little hook here. 50,000 images a month, 8 weeks of work done in 8 hours. Google's Next 25 conference unleashed a tsunami of AI innovations that promise to supercharge marketing. So again, it's for marketers. Did Google just hand marketers a creative superpower, or are we looking at the beginning of the end for traditional marketing as we know it? Sound dramatic synth as well.
Dramatic synth.
I mean,
I love the synth.
It's a pretty great opener, right? And so let me just go back to the actual prompt here so we can follow along of what it's doing. So that's the hook. Okay, the intro. Okay, so that's the hook. That's the opener. Then it goes into premise and promise. A tsunami of AI hits marketing, and then it gives an overview. I mean, this is pretty incredible, right? So like we're looking at a pretty detailed overview. Hooked yet? Buckle up, marketers. Let's dive into the game, changing highlights and what they mean for you. Let's pull out some quotes. AI will drive a transformation of advertising in 2045, even more significant than the mobile revolution. So it's pulled out some it's pulled it out from Twitter, actually.
Interesting.
Did you know it could pull stuff from Twitter?
I didn't know that. That's actually pretty wild.
Oh wow, I did not know that. So it's pulling quotes from Twitter, as well as it's pulling quotes from
all over the place. News, search, Twitter.
You know, there's a part of me that thinks that we shouldn't give this away. This is actually incredible.
Oh, you're changing your mind on us. Oh, people are not going to be happy, Kieran.
Google's AI superpower, powering the revolution. Pretty amazing. Generative creative unleashed content in every format. Yeah, look, this is a show, really, right? We could condense this down and actually make a show out of this. This is probably some of the best research I've seen. My one note for myself is it's even got, see here, it's included things like sound, keyboard typing as user dictates a task. It's thought of like all of the ways to integrate sound into this episode. It's got tons of citations for like quotes we can use. I'm really curious about the Twitter quote. The only thing I would want to play around with is, I think what I would do, remember when we give it warnings to say explicitly what we don't want? The thing I would definitely ask it to ensure it does is map to this outline.
Map to the outline and map a little bit more to like the marketing use cases, right?
Yeah. So make sure that it actually includes the section title that I have here so we can follow along, because it's using things called chapter, which I never said to use chapter. Can you reframe this into the following outline format? And so the last one I'll show is, okay. So that's basically, you can, don't think that this is, cool, I've got a prompt now that I can create any type of outline for a pretty incredible YouTube video. But don't just stop there. You can actually use that deep research and just swap out the YouTube outline for any outline, a blog post outline, a newsletter outline, a Twitter thread outline. Like, the thing to learn here is going from a deep research analysis to deep research actually combining that with a output
template,
any output you want. And so, okay, I don't know what. Okay, so it's actually starting to put it into the format that we want, but I won't. That's a whole other show. I'm actually now getting it to do.
I was going to say this has been more than one show's worth of content. Even we might even have to do a part 2 here.
All right, I won't show it. Maybe the last one is just to get people's. I'll end with like getting people's thoughts racing here. Is like this one here takes any marketing tactic and creates a detailed style or a detailed template execution guide for an AI assistant to replicate that. And what it basically does is distill out exactly how to recreate this and then provide a bunch of prompts here for the AI to use. And the AI can then replicate any marketing tactic you give it. And I think this is also a pretty great use of deep research, because people are just thinking of deep research as a thing to create a report analysis. I think of it as a way to actually get very specific on things you can execute on, like take action on. And I think that's one of the takeaways from this episode. So if we run through what we give you really quickly, we give you this O1 prompt. We put that O1 prompt into a prompt engineer so you can recreate that anytime you want. We give you a much more detailed deep research prompt. Then we put that deep research prompt into your own custom GPT so you can replicate that whenever you want. Then we give you a version that is actually something you can build upon. I just happened to do the YouTube video. So this kind of deep research prompt that actually creates a very detailed YouTube video. And we showcase that by running it for Google AI's. We did this by using it for Google AI's Next 25 launch that we're going to actually use the results from this deep research prompt and we will create a show on.
So, Kieran, when I think about today's show, we in like literally like 30 minutes, we taught somebody how to be an expert prompt engineer. We gave them all the tips, all the tricks to become an expert prompt engineer. And we gave this bonus of you should never do dumb AI anymore. You can always have deep research to provide really powerful context to any problem you're trying to solve with AI. That is one of the power hacks that you and I use. It is very transformative. Nobody does it. It's something you're going to continue to see on the show and something we've talked about in the past. But the use of custom GPTs, the actually anatomy of an amazing prompt, and how to use those prompts to get really powerful deep research is a game changer for how everybody's going to be using AI.
Yes, go forth and prompt.
Go forth and prompt. I love that. We'll see everybody real soon on Marketing Against the Grain.
This data is wrong every freaking time.
Have you heard of HubSpot? HubSpot is a CRM platform where everything is fully integrated.
Whoa, I can see the client's whole history, calls, support tickets, emails, and here's a task from 3 days ago I totally missed.
HubSpot. Grow better.